We are live. Hello, everyone. It is day 51 of 100 Days of Code with Leon Anderson. And I think I forgot to put it in the title today. So let's just add it here with Leon Anderson because actually he's with us in the call. Leon, how are you doing?
Hello. Doing good. Still a bit sick, but on my way to betterment. And today I did the section on putting Mongoose together with Express, basically. And my I don't know how much I can really share like off my mind what we did because it's a lot in that section, and I have some questions regards to how the frameworks and the different files are working together. So that's why today I asked Aleph if we can if I can share the code of the course with him, and he can share it through his screen share. That's why we're in a slightly different view as usual today. And so, I don't know. I could run a little bit through what I understand so far, and then see where I don't understand stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So index.js, as always, is the starting point of everything, or the index, basically, where everything comes together. Of course, we have to, if we want to work with Express, we have to require it. And we have to assign Express a variable. For this, I have a question, which is, could we use of app express dot set express dot whatever all the time, which of course would be way more typing with the brackets. Would that work to use it that way as well?
No, because each call to Express creates its own app.
Okay.
So you can kind of think of it like this. So imagine, and then actually create a new file for this. So here's example of this. And then let's say we have a function called express that returns the app with like set, and this is just some method like this. And now we say const one equals to express, and then const two equals to express, and then if we say console.load, yeah, that would return false.
So
Because
express
they are not
is
the
a
same.
function. Is express a function, or?
Yeah, express is a function. Otherwise, you would not be able to call it like this.
So
So basically, when you would always do express dot set, then you would set stuff in the first app. Here you would set stuff in the second app, and they would never share the same configuration. But here, because we first create the app, and then on the app we call set, use, everything is set for the same app.
so the app uses express, but express is not the app itself.
Express, the function, is called to create app, the app variable.
Okay. is called to create it, okay? Because
as you can see here, app is this, right? You can think about it like as functions that are returning objects are called factory functions, and Express is more or less that. There was some caveat there, but more or less that. So this is just the same as saying app3 equals to, like you can also manually define everything on it, right? But you don't want to do that. You want to create something new. That is why you use the factory function.
the set in line 7 is not the same set as app.set, right? It's a different set.
Yeah, of course, the set in the real app does something completely different. This is just to illustrate the point, right? So you can fill this stuff in your mind with what would actually be going on here, which I think a set is taking in 2 arguments, right? So let's first take in the I don't know, the model, the engine name or something like that, engine name. And then the next thing would be the configuration arguments. I think it even spreads them because I think there are some things that you can set that take more than one argument. And then in here, it does stuff with the local state of the app. This is just a dummy node.
Okay. I don't fully get it, but I guess it's not that important yet to understand this deep.
Well, do you have a specific question?
Well, can you go back to index.js? And then when we have, for example, the first, like line 20, app.set, how would that look like? Under the hood, I mean, so .set is a method, right?
Yes, because it's called on an object.
Okay, so how does the .set interact with Express inline share?
So I'm gonna try and find this so we can look into it. Like it's getting obviously more complicated because the real implementation is more complicated. But I think you are someone who just thrives upon understanding the deeper things. So let's just look under the hood, right? So this is Express, as you know, is open source. So we can look at the code and we can first start to just random guess and see if we can find it. So I just jump into lib. Like usually you're already familiar a little bit with the file structure of this, right? Because we have package.json here, we have an index.js file here, we have a bunch of readmes, we have a license, and then here we see the main photos. Benchmarks is probably not it, right? Because that's probably some performance stuff. Examples, probably not it. Test, probably not it. Probably contains all the tests. But lib is very what it look, because lib usually is a folder that contains the meat. And now we see a bunch of files here, and probably the express function is in Express.js. So let's check it out and see what we have here. So we import a bunch of stuff, create application, that's already it. So here you can already see the stuff that gets exported by Express is called create application. But when we require it, now for that I would need to see the other screen again. Okay, let me just quickly jump a little bit left and right here. So this screen right here, when we require it, we can give it any name, right? So internally in Express, this function is called create application, but there's just the convention that people call it Express. But we could also go in here and say, hey, let's name this stuff create application, right? Or we could name this create turmoil, or is my left earlobe bigger than only, right? It doesn't matter what we call it. It's just convention that people call it express. Also good.
Yeah.
Okay, and feel free to interrupt me, by the way, when I'm too fast. I'm just gonna go at a tempo and I'm gonna make some stops here and there. But feel free to interrupt me anytime. And everyone who's watching, feel free to put your questions in the comments. So let's jump back into the Express code. So now, if we look here, create application, right? And now we can start to look at the function. As you can see, it's a function. It doesn't take in any arguments. And first of all, it says, hey, there's some variable called app. And that is a function that takes in request, response, and next. And it calls inside of this thing app.handle. By the way, right now, my state of mind is also, even though I'm not to toot my own horn, pretty good at coding, at this point, I also don't know what's going on, right? So if you're like, holy fuck, what is happening here? That is what everyone fears, because we're starting to read completely foreign code. And the thing with code is, if you talk to someone, or a good analogy would be a story, right? If I just tell you the first sentence of the story, like Ben walked into the bar, but you know the story involves something that has the secret of the universe, and just reading the first sentence, you don't know anything about how the underlying story works, right? So it's totally normal that when you read a couple lines of code, you don't understand anything. Wait, I'm getting a call right now. Let me just quickly hang up on that call.
Got it. You're a bit hard to understand sometimes. Maybe some mic closeness issues.
Okay, so I hung up on the call. What was hard to understand?
Your voice was hard to understand sometimes.
Okay, but now it's better?
Now it's better, yes, in this moment.
Okay, sweet. Then let's keep going here. So here it says something like mixin app event derivative prototype. I don't know what mixin is, right? In order to understand this, as you can see, it's from a package, merge descriptors. So we would need to understand this package too. And this is part of software development when you use other open source software, other internal, other software, right? You need to understand all the underlying stuff. But then what we want to find is we want to find if we can find app.set somewhere. So here we say event dot prototype, it's not event total, it's not nothing. Object.create request, that's app.request, that's app.response, app.init, or nothing. Export.raw, that's also not what we want. Okay, so we cannot find it here, and right now it's not obvious where app.set comes from. So what we can do instead is we can start to look for set, function set, there it is. Lib application JS. It's here. So let's see if we can find how it is used in here. We require it from here. So in the file where we look at create application, we import Proto here from the application file that lives adjacent, right? And here at this point, we say mixin app and Proto. Just guessing based on the name mixin probably means it's something related to merging the objects together in some way, which if you remember, could be something like this. You have conf object 1 equals to something, and then you have conf object 2 equals to something, and then if you merge two objects, merged could be done, for example, like this: object 1 dot object 2, and now this resulting object has the properties of both of these objects, right? Going back here, this is probably something like that, but this is again just going off of feeling, going off of guessing a little bit. But the thing is, what we wanted to understand is app.set. So we have so far understood that there's a function called create application that by convention people for some reason name Express. And by the way, I just also learned for the first time that create application is the internal naming of the function. And as you can see here, at the end, it returns app, which explains why when you call the express function, which is named that way by convention, when you call express, why you get back the app. That is the basics here. And also, you can understand from this line that there's something going on mixing this app thing that is being returned with the proto thing that is being imported from ./application. So now let's jump into ./application, which is this file. And as we saw earlier, the set function is somewhere here. So let's look for it and set this in line 359. But here the code says app.set is a function that takes in a setting, which is a string, which makes sense, right? Because in the code that you've given me, sometimes it says views, sometimes it says view engine, and apparently a value. And this value can be anything. And then it looks okay. How long are the arguments here? Do we only get one argument? Okay, do we only get a setting? Then we do this code right here. If there's a value, it says this.settings, which is probably some value on the app that is defined somewhere. And then depending on the setting, it does different things. It looks like we don't even see the EJS case here. So we can also look for EJS here, EJS. It's not even defined here. So we would need to dig deeper into the code. But I think maybe we stop here, but I think this gives you a general feeling what is going on under the hood. But as you can see, to understand the complex code base, you usually need, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours, right? To start getting into it, to start understanding what is happening.
Got it.
Did that help or did that make things worse?
Pardon?
Did that help or did that make things worse?
No, that was super interesting. So, can you scroll back to the top, please? So yeah, I mean, I just take it as a given that we just have to assign app this way at the beginning of writing something with Express. Don't fully get it. I mean, obviously, because it's much deeper code base.
But I think we can fix that part of your understanding, because what we can do is, let me just copy the code from Express real quick right here. I'm grabbing it and I'm putting it here. So let's comment this out for now and put it here. And obviously a lot of this stuff is not defined, right? So let me just delete a bunch of this because it doesn't matter to understand the main point here. Let's just do this. I just do, or let me comment out the code real quick so you see I'm just grabbing the code here in the middle, commenting it out, right? So it's not there. So I might as well delete it like this. So now we only have a function called create application that assigns some variable and says app.handle is something, but this would even crash. So let's also get rid of this. It just says app is an empty function, right? And so that we can execute it, I'm taking it from here into the code sandbox. So because then we can use the console and stuff. So we're going in the code sandbox right here. And we're putting the function here. Now, what we can do, as you know, create application is just called Express when we use require. So it doesn't matter if we call create application, or we could also give it a new name. We could say const express equals to create application, which is basically the equivalent of saying require express without calling it, sorry, like this. Now we can say const app1 equals to express and const app2 equals to express. And then we can say console.log app1 triple equals app2 this, put it here like this, save, and let's reload it here. And as you can see, this is false because this app is not the same as this app. Why is that? Because when we call create application, for in this first time right here, we call express, which here we said is just the same as create application. So in the first function call of express, we create a new variable app and we return it here. And this is now this. And here in this call of express, we create another new variable app, return it here. And this is now this app. And because we created two different variables here, app 1 is obviously not the same as app 2, which is why we get false. So if on this app there was a function called set that put some internal state on this app, these two apps would not share the same settings, right? Because they're different objects.
Got it.
Sweet.
If you want to use an app that got created by the express function, we have to define it in a variable first.
Yes, exactly.
So we're using express to create an app that we can then use.
Exactly. Because let's assume we can put on this app thing, we can say app.set is just any function, like function this. Right? Now, both of these have a set. But if we call another express like this and say .set something, this would now be app 3, right? Because we create a brand new app and then we call on this brand new app.set. And if we do it again, now this one is app 4 because we created a brand new app. So in order to keep the settings for the same app, you need to share it. You need to share the app instance. And that's why you first need to create an app instance. And then on this instance, call the different methods that you want to, so they all share the same state.
Got it. I think the confusing part to me is that my inner representation logically would be more like express equals app 1 or express creates app 1. like the other way around, and not.
I mean that's correct. Express creates app 1
an app
and then
that is. Pardon?
That understanding is correct. Express calling express creates app 1, but then calling express again creates another brand new app.
Yeah, absolutely. Just what confused me was that you have const app equals express, and no, what? Yeah, I didn't know that express creates an app. Yeah, I get it now. I don't. I think it's
awesome.
We don't need to. That makes sense now.
Sweet.
Okay, so the line 3, I don't. I think that relates to the middleware, or no, that relates to the app.set is not a middleware, but a setting basically, right? App.use is middleware, as far as I understand. Like requiring path, like where does it get path from? Is path like an instance package somewhere that like just like express is? Because we can only require express if we know JS Express. Why?
Yeah. So
Hmm?
path is one of those things that npm ships with. So as
Got
soon
it.
as you run a JavaScript file in npm, every file can require path, which is the module that lets you operate with the file system.
Got it. Okay, cool. And Mongoose, yeah, you have to require that, but you also have to install it first. And I think not sure if method override is a separate npm package or if that's part of Mongoose. Okay, it's a separate package, I guess. Yeah. Got it. You have to install those first and then require them. And then you also have to, I mean, when we're going through the code, it's probably not the same, the exact order that it was written in the section, but I would say let's just go in this order. Const product. You basically no you're scrolling too fast. Yeah, exactly. Got it. So, but can you go back, please? So we have to require basically that we can access product.js, and we do that by using the path to that file inside of require. Is that as a side question, is that only possible if you require path first, or does that work always?
That works always.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, so basically we want to use the product. I'm not sure if we're using product p as a variable directly, but we're definitely using the contents of it. We will see. Or can you scroll maybe and see if we can find capital P product in use? Got it. So we use on the sub page on the sub URL of products. So basically, we render what's inside of the product.js on that product's sub page, and we have a special, like the if else is about that if when we build a function inside that, or I don't know if it's a function or but mechanic that if you sort or filter the products by category, then the page shows category. It only shows the products of the category, and if you don't do that, which is else, then it shows all products basically. So we basically so we can have both of these views on the same page. Okay, can you scroll up again? Yeah, then we use Mongoose to basically connect to the MongoDB database. My question to this is, basically we're not using directly, all right? We're only using it through Mongoose.
Exactly, yeah.
Got it. Because I was wondering, like, before we were using Mongo directly through the terminal and using the terminal at all anymore. Only once to start the index.js through Node.js. I guess we have to have the Mongoose shell or the I think we have to have the Mongo shell running in the background in a different window, as far as I understand it, but we don't actively do anything in the terminal.
Mongo definitely needs to be running. I don't know if you need to have the Mongo shell open for that.
So Cold was always talking about the Mongo daemon, but in the Windows installation tutorial on that, there was nothing about any damn daemon, and it worked without it anyway so far. But yeah, I have no idea what this daemon thing is about, because when he said, yeah, you have to have the daemon running, I was like, fuck, what am I missing? And I searched for it and I didn't find anything. I don't know, is that a Mac thing?
Maybe when you run the Mongo shell, the Mongo daemon is automatically starting up in the background. But usually it's the one that happens when you run mongod.
Yes, but I never had to use mongod to make it work. I only had it worked when I just used Mongo sh. So that was weird.
That's very interesting. Yeah, then probably Mongo sh starts the Mongo daemon in the background, but I'm not sure.
We will see if I run into issues. But I guess the only thing I really needed to know is that we're not working in Mongo directly. And yeah, I find it interesting to know that, well, basically we have to start like some dependencies, some programs beforehand, but then once all is set, we can basically work only in the or mostly in the editor on JavaScript, EJS, and HTML. I mean, EJS is that HTML at this point, and we are only using the Node shell to start it once, at least if we're using NodeMon. Otherwise, we have to restart it all the time by ourselves. Yeah, and then yeah, app.set views is basically to make sure that we can use EJS. So it's basically assigning or pointing to the directory views where all the EJS files are inside, and the app.set in line 21 is basically, as far as I understand it, setting that that we're using EJS. But I'm not fully sure about what these two arguments inside of app.set are used, but that's as how far I understood it so far.
So those are just two variables, basically. Properties would be probably the better name. App.set is just a way to set properties of the application. And app.set views, path.join viewName views, just says set the views value to the value path.join viewName views, which is just the file path of your system pointing to the views directory. And then app.set view engine EJS just sets the view engine value to EJS. So it's basically just ways to set the internal state of an app.
Got it. Yes. So it's like I want this parameter to that value, which is running in the background.
And we can show just a quick example how this would look. So in our first example, let me comment on this one real quick and comment on this again. This could look something like this. So let's say you have met views equals to, I don't know, usually it is what would be an alternative value, but maybe it's like foo, right? And then here we say like key and value. And then here we have, I don't know, maybe we have a switch statement or whatever. I think I saw a switch statement earlier. It would be like switch key. And then if the value is views, we set that value right. And then let, what was the other one? View engine equals to, what could be a different value? Let's ask Copilot different value than EJS. Now, what does it suggest? Okay, what was that? And then here we put the KV and then that. We just forward this. Might it here? There's one. Oh, okay. We are here. And then this now looks neat and tidy. And now if we on this app, for example, set app.app1.set views to EJS, then for app 1, the views value would now be EJS instead of foo. And that's also how you can imagine the internal state, which is why this app is unique compared to this app, because when you call Express, a different variables get created and encapsulated in the closure.
Love it. That's so interesting. Awesome. Yeah. And then we have which is setting middleware. The URL encoded is basically, what was that again for? It's basically a transcription, or basically I think it's between between some of the frameworks that we're using. I'm not sure if Express.url encoded is between EJS and Express, or if it's between Mongoose and Express, or MongoDB and Express. But it's like a translation service. I don't know. JS. Just using a string. Got it.
So yeah, I was muted, but we just let Copilot explain what it does.
That was interesting to see. Awesome. Yeah, basically, basically what I explained, translating, making sure that the incoming data is in a consistent file format, one could say. Is that correct?
What it allows you to do is turn values that are query parameters and take them and turn them into objects, so you can access them in the request.
Is that only only using what's coming from URLs, or is it also using what's coming from body?
It basically puts the stuff that's in the URL onto the body. Without this middleware, when you call a route with this request.body would still be an empty object. But when you configure this middleware, now this middleware basically says, hey, let me take everything after this question mark, let me take every query parameter and attach them to an object and put this object onto the body.
What if I don't... okay, so... So if I'm using a form on one of the EJS pages, and I'm submitting the data, is it like I'm not like we used to submit the data in these example app websites that we built in the past sections, always with forms, but we never used any of the URLs query strings to put data in through that way. Why would we use your
the thing that you're overriding is the method. So the data that you send is still encoded in the form, and forms by default are processed by Express. So the form data by default gets put onto the body. But what this also does is method override basically expects an underscore method value in the body. And if you use the URL encoded middleware and use EJS, EJS turns a delete request. For example, a delete request would look this, right? And the / method delete now gets put onto the body, or sorry, gets put onto the query parameters, and the URL encoded middleware puts it into the body, and then you know, okay, this is the delete request.
So we need URL encoded to use method override, not to get the data itself from the.
No, you need URL encoded to be able to use method override when you send the method as a query string, which is what this is doing.
Got it.
Yeah.
But if we wouldn't use method override at all, we wouldn't need URL encoded in this example.
In this example, yes, exactly.
Got it. Nice. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, and then we assigned a variable categories. Basically, so we can use it later. And then basically the codes. I mean, maybe a quick question in between: how long time do you have? Because I don't know, it could get long if we just keep on going.
I mean, as long as you feel like you learned something, I have infinite time.
Infinite. Awesome. All right. Yeah, so basically then if you scroll down further, so we see from line 36, then from here all the different sub pages are basically designed, or the logic behind, and so with all the app.get requests and the different, we have basically app.get for all sorts of different URLs, And then inside of the app.get, we define what's happening on that URL. We already talked about the products page, which is the main page. So you can scroll further. And correct me in between if I'm doing anything, if I'm talking anything that doesn't make sense, please. And then the products.new page basically is rendering the new EJS page, which should be in. Wait, is it in the views folder? Where is the new? Yes. And so my question, if we go back to index.js, is why do we put in the categories? Is that an object, or like are we like in line 48? Is that basically, are we using the categories from an object, or?
We're using the categories from line 34 in this file with the extra comments, but this category is here, that's parsed in here.
And is that turned into an object because of the?
No,
curly
categories
bracket,
is an array, but we pass in an object with the key of categories because that is how EJS templates take in the data that you want to give it.
Got it. So it always has to be an object, and inside of the object can be keys and values, but also arrays and also maybe more objects nested.
Yeah, basically. So we are putting in the categories, and the EJS template just has access here to the categories. And then here we are just iterating over them in a for loop.
Yes. So I guess we defined categories here in the JavaScript, not in the EJS file, because we're using it in different places, and it's better to have it in the index rather than in the new file directly, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Got it. Okay, so and how does the EJS file know that the category is like where is like the interface between the files? Like, sure, in the index file we shoot it out, but how does the new EJS file know that it can grab that data from somewhere?
Oh, that is all living in the engine that you said here. So there's probably a bunch of code that lives somewhere in Express, maybe, that we could also look up if you want to in the open source code that
No.
takes care of all of this.
Nice. Okay, that's all I needed to know. That's awesome. That makes gives a clearer understanding. Like so far, like it was always just like, yeah, okay, we have to do this because then it works, but and yeah, it has to do because these are like some functionalities that made possible by Express and EJS and all the stuff, but like knowing a bit more, like that one step more that you explained now, that this is like internal setting of the app, and internal mechanisms of the framework, basically. Like, I don't know, for some reason it makes more sense now, and it's not just like a take it as a given kind of way. I like it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then what I don't understand is why we have, like, why is there an app.post in between all the app.gets? Does it matter to sort them in some kind of way, or like just in terms of the order? Why? Okay, because it relates to the new page. Does it? Wait a second.
No, there's no reason to put this post here. Like, you could literally put it at the very bottom. You could, put this at the very bottom. The order in which you call these methods does not matter.
Okay. Does it matter? Does the order matter when we have, at what point we have app.listen? Because it's
good question.
I've seen multiple times that it was at the bottom, like the very last, but I tried to have it at the very top, and it worked as well. But I was like, why is Code using it at the bottom? I don't know, especially as usually we start very early by writing it, and then we write all the other stuff in between, which is kind of weird for me. Why not append it rather than writing inside? But I don't know.
Well, usually people structure code in the way, like there are different philosophies here, but one of the main philosophy that I've seen is you always structure code so you can read it top down. Some people like to put the most important part at the top, and then they basically sort by importance. But for me, as someone who grew up in the West, reading top down, it's easier to structure code that you first read everything that you need to know to understand what is coming next. And technically, I just looked it up, you can call app.listen before, but that means that when this is finished running, the app is listening. And there is a scenario in where your computer is super fucking slow, and these listeners, or some of these listeners, get attached after this app started listening, and before and after a request has already come in that should have been handled by these handlers. It's very, 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 very incredibly unlikely, but it could happen. It's a matter of milliseconds, probably, or nanoseconds even. That's why usually people call app.listen last, but it works the same way effectively if you put app.listen above all of these methods.
But wouldn't it make more sense to listen first and then do the requests? Like, I don't get it. Why
yeah, of course. But these are the handlers, right? These are not the requests. These are, here you tell the app, hey, when a GET request comes in to this route, do this, right? So it basically tells the app how to handle each request. And it makes sense to tell the app how to handle each request first before you start listening to requests. Because otherwise you have the thing that I just mentioned, when you first start to listen to requests and then tell the app how to handle them, there is a very, very slight chance, because it's literally impossible, modern computers, how fast they are. But in theory, there's a chance that a request comes in before the app has gotten to the next bit of the code and learned how to handle the request.
And what happens then?
Nothing.
Would it say, I don't know what to do? Or
I think the default response is just throwing a 507 error. And let me check real quick. It's just 404 not found. So yeah, we'll just return a 404 not found error.
Okay. So basically, if there would be a request incoming and the code is not knowing yet what to do with it, can like store it somewhere, store the request somewhere, and then read through the rest before?
Well, theoretically, that would be possible, but again, because it's such an unlikely scenario, no one ever cares for that, right? But that's basically the same principle that we talked about yesterday with the memory buffering from Mongo, where it makes a ton more sense to be like, hey, we save the stuff in memory, and then when we can connect to the database again, we put it in, because that stuff is probably super important. Whereas here, there's only happens if you call that listen before all the handles, which no one ever does. And there's probably only a time frame of like a millisecond or maybe even just a few nanoseconds where this bug could happen.
Okay, so would you suggest it makes sense to you to write app.listen at the bottom, just in case?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, this is also very basic Express stuff. And in more complex apps, you have something called a router, and you hook up different routers and stuff. And that's just to make the code more neat. So this question would be kind of invalid, because in more complex Express apps, you structure the code a little bit differently.
Got it. Okay. Would it be possible to use await and like to wait until the rest is read?
Well, no, because listen is synchronous.
Okay,
As you
so
can see here, there's no promise in the return type here. Well, that means it's synchronous, so you cannot await it. And the solution is just to call app.listen last.
Yeah. I was just wondering for alternatives to also understand.
But no, it's not asynchronous.
Because that's a point where I would say await could be used, just the mechanic behind it, like the logic behind it. But if it's not usable for listen, why? Like, is there a reason why app.listen can't be asynchronous?
Well, theoretically, the programmers of Express could make it asynchronous, but if there's no need for it to be, why make it asynchronous? Like, why?
Okay,
if
so
it would be just overcomplicating it. Yeah.
Got it. So there like decision parameters, like why or that could say like that certain stuff cannot be asynchronous, or could everything be asynchronous if you work it that way? Like if you...
Well, you can, but then you're overcomplicating stuff, right? That would be like, have you ever seen a yoke, which is basically what the steering wheel of an airplane looks like? Can you picture that in your head?
Yeah, a bit like a joystick, but a bit different.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it moves in 3 dimensions and stuff. And asking, why do cars not get a yoke? It's like, well, you could design a car that way, but it's much more simpler with a steering wheel, right? Like, why give it something that is more complex and can do more things, where you can just reduce it to the least amount of functions it needs to be able to do to work well?
Yeah. I mean, the question is not really to like, oh, I need it to be a yoke, but more like understanding what are the decision heuristics.
The decision heuristic is just, do you need it? Yes, cool. Then we do it. Do you not need it? Well, then let's not overcomplicate it and make it as simple as possible.
And for what? And now the question is, in what situations would it be needed? And in what situation would it be needed? Is there like an overall answer, or is that does that depend on case by case?
No, the answer is, do you need a promise? If you need a promise, you need to make it asynchronous. Are there any asynchronous processes involved? You need to make it asynchronous, right? you can see it in here in the handlers. This handler is not asynchronous because all the data is already available because it's hard-coded, right? Whereas in these handlers where you're reading from the database, you need to make it asynchronous because reading from the database is an asynchronous process.
So every time we need to wait for something.
Yeah, every time there's something that is a promise because the code underlying is asynchronous for some reason, then you also need to make all the interfaces that use the code asynchronous.
And yeah, but a promise, we need promises when we have to wait for something to get cleared, right? Like,
Yeah, you need a promise when the result of the thing that you're doing is not immediately available, which is happening when you
yes,
read from a database.
yes. So that's what I meant with when you wait for something.
Yes, exactly.
Are there cases where you need promises where you don't need to wait anything?
No, then it's usually synchronous, yes.
Got it. Okay, now I understand promises even better. That's awesome.
Food.
Like such nitty-picky questions, but it helps a lot. Yeah, I guess it's a lot. It's quite a lot of code still left in here, but I guess the main concepts are clear to me. Can you scroll a little bit, but slow?
Top or down?
Down. Mm-hmm. Where is the difference in use between the curly brackets in line 60 and in line 8?
The curly brackets in line 60.
Yes.
And in line
58.
Oh, got it. So this is destructuring, which basically means, hey, request.params is an object that, yeah, maybe looks something like this, right? And there might be
Yes.
more values. And we just
yes. We had that a few days ago, yes.
Yes, and this is the so-called object shorthand notation, which is just, hey, create a new object, and this object has a key products, and if we don't specify a value, then this shorthand notation means product is what the value of product is. So this one.
Got it.
Yeah.
And where is the difference between product : product and product, categories in line 66?
So product : product means the value of product is that what is written in the variable product. So this,
Yes, got
but
it.
again, the shorthand notation is just this, because this says the value of product is that what is written in product. And
Yes.
here this says this object contains two keys. One is product, which is the value that is written in product because we are using the shorthand notations, and categories, which is the value that is written in the variable categories, which is this area at the top here.
Got it. So if we could, it would be the same if we would write curly brackets, product : product, comma, categories, categories.
Exactly.
Got it. Yeah, it's like little nuances, like with the comma, that make such a big difference. And like, yeah, sometimes it's still a bit confusing what's exactly meant, especially when you have like the restructuring, the use like using curly brackets for restructuring very close, very nearby, and you're like, is this a similar pattern, or is that the same pattern, or is it a different use?
Well,
So,
let me throw you a little curveball. What would you need to do if you want to assign this value right here in the shorthand notation?
I want to find the shorthand notation.
What would you have to do if you want to define this property, define the property run validators on this object, also using the shorthand notation?
Shorthand, what's the shorthand notation?
This right is the object shorthand notation. Shorthand means we're not writing this long ass thingy, we're only writing this short thingy.
Got it. I mean, you can't, because you need the value as well, right? Or does it have a default value?
No, there's no default value, but how would you then need to do it? So you're right, you need to define the value somehow. So what would you do?
Oh, wait. So, wait, product, find ID and update. But still using product.find by ID and update, right? Or anything.
Yeah, exactly. We leave everything in this line the same, except we want to use the object shorthand notation for the run validators value.
I mean, if in the request.body that there's the, like, if we can access run validators, like if request, no, wait, it's request.body comma, wait, can you scroll so I can see the full line?
No, it's too long, but I can break it down like this.
Yeah.
And like this, and like this.
Perfect. Okay. Products.find ID and update. Product is update the ID update. No, it finds by ID and updates. Okay, request.body is where it updates, and then the object is what it updates. If I remember correctly, what the find by ID and update method is how that is structured. Is that correct?
Yeah, the idea is find the product by ID, and request.body is the new content of that object.
Okay. Run validators. Okay, now I have to. I mean, I have a guess that we can just leave the word run validators away, and we can just write true, comma, true. But
well, then you assign a key with the value true to true, right? But we want to assign a key with a key of run validators to the value true.
No, I mean, I didn't say colon. I said comma, like just true, and then comma new equals true.
Yeah, exactly. But
deleting
that doesn't make sense because true, or like, first of all, this doesn't work because true is a value, so it's not a variable. And also now we don't have the run validators key, which we need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
shorthand, how can there be a shorthand version? I don't get it.
Well, think about what do you have here to be able to do the shorthand notation, right? You have the product variable defined somewhere above.
Okay, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, then I have to define run validators somewhere before. And I guess, yeah, I have to set it to true, and then it's set to true by like inherently, basically.
And now what do we need to do now?
We can delete the colon and true.
Exactly. That's how you do it. Obviously, it's less clean, right? Just doing it inline is cleaner in this case because you don't reuse the run validator stuff. But that I just wanted for you to really grasp this concept of shorthand notation.
That makes sense. So you can only do the shorthand notation if it's defined somewhere beforehand.
Yep. But it doesn't need to be in the same body, right? Because as you can see, categories is here. We can assign stuff from the current scope, but also we can use stuff from the outside scope.
But not from the inside scope of a different app.get, right?
Exactly, yeah. Because we even have the same name here, right? But this product is this product and this product is a different product.
Got it. That's interesting. But the capital P product is the same in both?
Yes, because no one defines a new one. They all reference the one from here.
Okay, yeah, because it's outside.
Yes.
And is the capital P just like, does it affect it in an additional way, like rather than just showing that it's global variable, or does it make it to a kind of a special object? The capital
No, it's just convention. It's just again, it could also be named I earlobes A
Got it.
symmetrical.
Because it reminded me of the capital P in the New Promise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's similar logic of the convention. Yeah.
So it's just naming convention, but it doesn't give it any special properties.
Well, product is also a function that you call with new. That's why by convention, product is capitalized.
Why can we call it with new? Because
that's what Mongoose does behind the scenes. It basically returns a class.
So basically, because we exported it as capital P product, we can now use it as a special, like we can use it with new, like, we can create new product.
No, that's just convention. You could also lowercase it and new would still work, the new keyword. It's just convention that those things that can be called with the new keyword generally get capitalized to indicate for people, hey, this is something that you can call with a new keyword, but you don't have to do it. What people started just doing it as a convention to make it easier to understand which of the things can be called with a new keyword and which don't.
Got it. That makes sense. But we can only call it with the new keyword because we exported it from Mongoose.
No, I mean, it goes way back to one of the lessons that we had probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? Where we learned about constructor functions, and we learned behind the scenes all functions are really constructor functions. They all point via the prototype to all the stuff. And you also learned how their like variables are set inside and stuff. And basically mongoose.model, for some reason, they just and chose to implement these stuff using constructor functions. So mongoose.module, what it returns is a constructor function.
Yes, and because it's a constructor function, we can use, we can call it with new.
Yes, with an asterisk that in theory every function can be called with a new keyword, but you're right, it only makes sense really if it's really a constructor function.
Got it. Yeah. Nice. That's so much fun to go through all of that. Yeah, I mean, I think I had one last question, or I mean, I can probably find a lot of nuanced questions still in there, but I had one conscious question during today, which was basically so as far as I understand, we execute the index.js file in Node.js, right?
Yes.
And then Node.js sees that we're using Express and Mongoose and EJS, and then and then Node.js basically orchestrates which of the which part is handled by Mongoose and which part is handled by JS and which part is handled Express?
Yes and no. So yes, when you call, so the first thing you need to understand is when you call npm r, right, or npm install, you are installing all the packages in your package.json file to your Node modules, which are living right here, right? So this little folder here is containing all of the dependency from these 4 packages, including these 4 packages. So we have, as you can see here, the Express thing in here, and it has the lib thing that we saw on GitHub, and it has the Express.js file that we saw on GitHub. It's all right here on our computer because it was installed using npm i. And now when you run this file using Node.js, and here comes the no part, you are the one who orchestrates how this stuff together, right? Because you say in this file, hey, I'm getting Mongoose, I'm getting Express, and here's how we set up Mongoose, and here's how we set up the Express stuff, and here's how the Express app calls stuff from the Mongoose stuff when this request comes in, right? And Node.js is only executing all of this stuff, and it's obviously executing the stuff that you import, but it's still reading all of these folders that you have here locally, all of the code that other people write, that you are leveraging. You're standing on the shoulders of giants using the power of open source to become, but you are in the end, you are the orchestrator who says, hey, I'm deciding how all of this stuff work together.
So if I'm saying app.set, if I'm using that, does Node.js know which package is using that, or does Node, or like, does the package itself recognize that this is talking to the package?
Basically, Node.js just stupidly executes whatever you tell it. And here you say, hey, I require Express, which is basically everything in Express is not here. And then you create your app with it, and then you say app.set. And Node.js is just executing like a madman whatever is written here, which eventually leads it to what's written here, which eventually leads it to what's written here, And then it goes into a deep dive here into the express file and looks, okay, what is written here? And then, okay, it executes all of this. It's just going deeper and deeper and always just executes until it's done.
Okay, and if okay, but Node.js knows which of the commands that I give it relates to which package.
Yeah, because you know that too, right? Because it's just written here. It's hey, we express, we require from this package here, we create the app, and then here we set the stuff. So it's not like some magic.
Okay,
it's obvious, and it's obvious to you too.
Okay, because it's okay, got it. So because the dot set is appended to app, and app is created by Express, basically then it's putting everything together through this path.
Yes. It's the same that we had here, where we created our own little set thing, just way more complex, right? But these basic principles are just like built up on each other, and they're getting a little bit more complex, but it's still there's no magic involved. Like everything is just meticulously written by someone else and then graciously gifted to you using open source.
Yes. Okay, scroll down a little bit further. Okay, app.use, okay, const categories. Okay, so const categories is basically JavaScript. So it's not used by any of the packages unless we use categories inside of the code that is relating to one of the packages.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Can you scroll further, please? Thank you, by the way, for letting me command your scrolling service.
Of course, that's what I'm here for.
I don't want to come off as commanding in a.
No, you're not.
Okay.
It's very pleasant and a lot of fun.
Awesome. It's great to hear. And further, please, as well. Further, and I guess that's the finish line already. Okay, and inside of one of the EJS files, maybe index. Okay, so basically we start in index.js, not EJS, but we start in index.js with Node.js, and then it realizes, okay, we are also using EJS in some of the code that gets executed through, or that's Express, and then basically it goes from JavaScript to Express and then to EJS.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. But what if, like, are these like static paths, or can they be like cross-referential?
You mean, can you import EJS in another EJS file? Is that the question?
Can you repeat the question?
Is the question, can you import EJS files in other EJS files?
No, if more like, can I execute or reference other Express functionalities inside of EJS?
I don't know if you can. Let me look that up. Can you pass in functions to EJS or just objects, arrays, and primitives? you can indeed pass functions in. So theoretically, you could even pass in, just maybe the app, just everything. But I don't know what good that would do to you, But I think in theory it's possible, yeah.
Okay, interesting. And but how does Node.js know the order in which to go first, just by the order in which it's written in the index.js, or
What, like, for me to understand the question, I would need to know, why does the order matter? In what way can you elaborate that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's more like a giant possibility tree with lots of different paths of different combinations of what's happening, and then I guess yeah, I don't know. It's a bit hard to yeah, no, I mean, it executes always until some point where that path that you requested is done, and then you give new input, and then there's a different path that gets executed. Is it? And this way, it's not like different paths that can cross each other in a weird way, I guess. Is that right?
I don't know if I understand the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the whole synchronous asynchronous thing, basically, where it's like no, I think the question is obsoleted itself through our past, like through the stuff that you that we just discussed just a few moments ago. I guess it's one of those questions that if it makes sense to ask it, will bubble up again tomorrow in a clearer way. And if not,
Okay.
then it's
But you can rest assured that maybe right now the possibility space and the possibility tree seems very big, but even though it might seem that way, know that it's definitely understandable and logical somewhere behind the scenes. It's something that a lot of people face when they start programming, including myself. That you sometimes feel like, wow, this is magic and stuff. But everything can be understood. The question is, do you need to and do you want to? So what I'm saying is you don't need to understand all the nitty-gritty details of how the engine works in your car, how the different wheels works, how your brake works and stuff like that, in order to understand the interface of the steering wheel, the gear, and the pedals, and to be able to drive. Like, it can help you a little bit if you know how a combustion engine works and what the difference is between a V8, a V6, and a diesel, but it is not crucial in order to understand the car well, and it's also not crucial to possibly be one of the best drivers in the world. Like, maybe you can just buy raw skill just by being the best at operating the gear, the steering wheel, and the pedals to be the best driver in the world. And the rest is basically curiosity. And I mean, all analogies back down at some point, but that's, I think, the way you want to think about it. Like, the main thing you need to understand is, okay, if I do this, then Node.js does this. And this knowledge unlocks most of the value creation that you can do for your clients or yourself.
Yes, I definitely get that, but I would also say that all the context that you taught me today will help me to better structure or to come up with solutions easier than to because if you remember, like, this leads to that and this leads to that, it's basically just learning vocabularies, and I always have to look them up, and I mean, not necessarily look them up, but it's I feel like I can only work with concepts that I've been taught before, and I can't transfer and combine concepts, and if I understand a bit more context. So
Got it. I mean, I obviously love explaining this and going through with this, and someone has been watching this stream since almost all the time. So someone's also apparently getting lots of value out of this. So shout out to the anonymous viewer.
shout out.
And yeah, but the thing is also, when we looked at Express today, I was also looking at it for the first time, even though I've been almost coding since a decade. So just as a data point to you that, again, just for the pure value creation, don't need it. But at the same time, I'm happy to help you. I'm happy that it helps you understand this stuff. And it's also fun for me to look under the hood of some of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have needed to look further than that into it, but knowing the like the one step in between, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Like that step, like knowing where I would find it and how that relates to each other, like the roots. It's like, okay, I know there are some way deeper roots, and I know that I don't need to access them, but I know how they like where my trunk is, how my trunk is leading into those roots.
Yes, it is, of course. And you will develop an intuition for this kind of stuff, because as you can see, I've never looked this stuff up, but because I've built other things but that had similar complexity, I knew, okay, if I want to look it up for this thing, this is where I likely have to look. So you will develop this kind of intuitive general understanding that you can then use to understand any specific program, package, framework, and so on.
Yes. Yeah, and and today was just a great example of the general process on
Exactly.
how to start that. That was
exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, I absolutely love it. Yeah, that's it.
Good. This was the longest stream, 90 minutes. It's a blockbuster. Thanks for watching. If you're watching the recording, shout out to you for sticking with us. Not many people nowadays have such big of an attention span. So it also speaks volumes if you are able to follow this much content. Obviously, it's only interesting to you if you're at a similar skill level as Leon. But if you are, I think today was a great session to deepen your understanding about how JavaScript works. And as you can see, Leon is sick, but he's still keeping up his coding habit. Not only that, he's growing tremendously, learning lots of new stuff. So let this be an inspiration to you that no matter in which situation you are, you can find a way to just do a little bit or even a lot, because you will benefit from it. So thanks everyone for watching. This has been day 51 of 100 Days of Code in the Code Call with
Leon Anderson and my mentor,
Adam Mills from 1080dev. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. See.